Hello, good afternoon. Michael Wynn, Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, a division of RB Oppenheim Associates. Thank you guys for joining in today. It is really excited about what we're going to discuss in today's video and podcast. Here's the thing, why thinking like a media company now matters, and how will it impact the fate of your business by 2025. So a few weeks ago, I did an episode about looking back historically of the trend that happened in the late 30s when the shift of the mass attention of the public shifted from the radio to the television. And there was a lot. I got some pretty interesting feedback from that. A lot of people were like, "Wow, yeah, I didn't, really didn't think about, companies who had invested a lot in radio programming through that point had become very successful. But for companies who did not make the shift from radio to television in the late 30s, really had a hard time catching up to those companies who did make the shift in television programming. For instance, Procter & Gamble, I think, would be a great example of a large corporation who made the shift in investment from investing heavily in radio and investing heavily in TV when that shift happened. So as we go through the 40s and 50s and 60s and on through the 2000s, those people and companies who were able to invest in television programming through advertisements and infomercials and product placement within sitcoms and shows and things of that nature have been very successful. But right now, we are in the middle of another shift, and that shift is the shift from television to the internet, right? There's been a shift, and what I mean by that is that the attention of the entire planet, the majority of attention, have shifted from what we think of as TV programming, has shifted from TV to internet. Now, it doesn't mean that we're not watching television programs. It means that we're leveraging, our smartphones, or we're leveraging or accessing televisions that have access to the internet so that we can consume content on demand, and not only on demand, but also with just our preferences. So I don't have to wait on the broadcast networks to determine how I'm going to consume content anymore. And that's why every business in 2019, if you are not beginning to think like a media company first, you are going to lose by 2025. And there are going to be a lot of businesses that when the market correction happens and all of these traditional formats like TV and radio and print are either absolutely 100% obsolete, or B, have become so overpriced that even having a presence there will absolutely kill your books, kill your profitability, and cause your company to fold up shop. And so companies who begin to think like a media company now will understand that the way that you engage and the way that you expand your reach when it comes to what television has done for the last 4 or 5 decades for businesses and organizations is it's brought about brand awareness at a mass level. But now what's happened is the mass level of consumption has been broken up into really 6 or 10-ish separate platforms that are literally apps that sit on top of our mobile devices. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, YouTube, podcast, and still email to a degree as well, that is the media, that is the shift away. I think in the past, there's been a lot of companies who have thought that, oh, well, we should do social media because it's a fad or a trend. And that is really, really naive thinking, because social media and the social web is not a fad that's going to go away. In fact, it has become more and more the way we prefer to interact and learn and consume content. We watch it, we read it, we listen to it, and all of that impacts our decisions when it comes to buying a product or selecting a service provider, for every facet of our lives today. And so for companies who are like, well, Michael, how do I start thinking like a media company? Well, first of all, it really, and we've talked about this before, it begins with a shift in thinking from, sort of that 30-second spot, in a, trying to create this one singular silver bullet that's going to impact all of your target audiences. You have to really push that aside. It is grossly antiquated. It is out of date thinking, because that creative people are not responding to it. What you need to think about is multi-format, multi-channel, and really contextualized and individualized messaging and creative that can reach your audience. Because young Sally, at 28, single, her life and her lens and the way she thinks about the things that she needs to make her life better, or provide her escape, or satisfy her desires for material things and just life necessities, is completely different from 56-year-old Gary, who is divorced and has 2 kids from his previous marriage, and has another child in his current marriage. Those 2 people are in completely different worlds, the way that they look at the world. And so the one size fits all creative doesn't work anymore. And we know this because we've already set up, and there are case studies after case studies that have shown, when you run creative that is personalized and contextualized to the individual user, like if you think about all the different types of people who consume, purchase your product or services, when you really think about that and you create a very specific one-to-one message for them, and then target it and make sure that it gets in front of them, then the conversion rates are through the roof. Because through some of these feeds, it's just like there's so much noise out there. But when I hear a message, hey, 48-year-old man with 3 kids, here's something you haven't thought about, right? I'm like, whoa, hey, they're talking to me. That's my age group, right? When you can really deliver that personalized, contextualized, creative, and make sure, and again, that's the thing, like, we used to use in the television, creative world, we used all the different demographics of all the different shows. And so we were trying to make sure that that 1 30-second piece of creative was placed in a show that the people who are watching that show matched our demographics. Or if we didn't do that, we were like, where can we get our biggest bang for our buck? Was it the Super Bowl, or was it a local sports, like if you have a large college football fan base in your town, you would want to have your ads running during that, because a lot of people would stop what they were doing, like the whole town would shut down and watch the game, and you would try to put your message there. But that's no longer, you do not have to rely upon broadcast network anymore to expand your reach as a business. And so businesses who start thinking like a media company now and understand that these platforms, the social web, is how the mass amount of the public consumes their content. When you begin to understand that, then you're setting yourself up for success to be able to endure when the correction happens and all of the other formats that we've been, that you've used in the past and you get completely priced out. If between now and then you've built an audience that's individualized and created that following, then you hold the power to reach your audience and you're no longer captive to the broadcast networks. So let's talk about some obstacles. What are some obstacles that are going to get in the way of a business thinking about and trying to make this shift into thinking like a media company? Well, I think number one is going to be instant gratification. Instant gratification comes in the form where, your friends say, "Oh, I saw your billboard on the thing. It was so great." Or, "Oh, I saw your TV spot on the game," right? Their friends in their circle say that. But that's a really, really small group, okay? The other thing that's going to be an obstacle is subjective criticism of your creative. This has been another issue that it's very difficult to be to not be to not think when you see a piece of creative as a business owner and you're looking at that creative, you can't help but to think about yourself and how you respond to that. Well, what if you, general manager who's 65 years old, who's been running the business for 30 years, is not the target audience? And so that leader person, that leadership person, that decision maker is making a decision on creative that was never meant to reach them, right? And so I think that criticism is going to be an issue, and then ego is also going to be an issue, because when you let go of determining what good creative is for your organization based on personal preferences, being the owner of the company or being the CEO of the company, when you let go of that, because here's the thing, guys, on the social web today, the person who decides whether it's good creative or not is not one individual. It is the mass markets who determine what is good creative, and they determine it based on their actions. They'll like it, they'll share it, they'll comment, they will absolutely completely engage with really good creative. And that's going to be a problem for companies who have not made the shift, who literally are just like the people in the 30s who were like, "Oh, radio is the way that we've grown our business. Why would we leave radio when it's been so successful for us," right? And then their business folds. And so again, that same thing is happening, where the shift from television broadcast to internet content it's already happened, right? We're in the middle of it. Like, it's white hot right now. This is not like, hey, this is a trend in the next couple of years you need to look out for. This is happening right now. So your company needs to think about that. And you need to understand this is probably one of the greatest opportunities for your company to really add value to and help your bottom line by stop throwing away marketing and advertising dollars that you're spending on overpriced attention that is completely out of date. Because right now, what companies need to do is they need to literally make a marketing nickel spin like a marketing $100 bill. And that is exactly what is available for you when you do Facebook right, when you do Instagram right, when you do LinkedIn correctly, and when you understand that you can have a piece of creative run in the beginning of a YouTube video that's actually based on a Google search that someone did a week ago, and then you show them content that's based on what they searched for a week ago. Boom, right? That's pre-roll YouTube. And the same thing for podcast pre-roll as well. So you're listening to your favorite podcast, and on comes a 15 or 20-second spot for a product or service that meets and is in context of the content that you're listening to. Those types of media formats right now are so underpriced and have the ability to maximize your company's reach like never before. So if you're a company, and it's crazy, there are literally Fortune 500 companies, there are regional companies, there are local companies that are spending tens of thousands of dollars a month, and they're literally throwing them in the garbage because they think that no one's going to get on their phone and go to Facebook, or no one's going to actually make a buying decision on Instagram, or no one's going to be influenced to select a service provider through LinkedIn, or that they're going to be influenced by something when they watch a YouTube video piece, or a video content that is introed into a YouTube video. And so I think at the end of the day, guys, what I'm talking about is when it's not when, it is if your company is not thinking about being a media company now, you are really setting yourself up for failure in 2025, 2026, whatever it is not far away. There will be a market correction. Businesses are going to struggle. They're going to be looking for where is the value. And by that time, it's going to be very late. And so for those businesses who take advantage of the underpriced attention right now on the social web, they're going to be positioned to win. And they're going to be positioned with growth and a healthy bottom line because they've made smart use of their marketing dollars by leveraging underpriced attention. I cannot say this, I don't care if you do business with me or some other marketing agency or what, but I want to go on the record and have this video and have this podcast to say, in April of 2019, I told you so. And that's really what I want to say today. Guys, thank you so much. My name is Michael Wynn. I am the Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, a division of RB Oppenheim Associates. Don't forget, tomorrow, Friday, we'll be resuming our little book club that I do with Katie Lilly of Lilyfield Accounting Solutions, where we talk about the book Traction, which is really a deep dive into getting a grip on your business. And I'm looking forward to that. So I hope you guys will join us. Guys, have a great day, and we'll catch you tomorrow.